The story begins at a sports center, right when the swimming pools are closing for the night. The last person leaving is a young woman who works there. Just as she is about to walk out, a shower turns on by itself. She walks back and hears a voice asking what she is doing there. She enjoys the warm water for a moment, but suddenly the shower shuts off, causing her to slip, fall, and sustain serious injuries. Covered in blood, she tries to crawl out and screams desperately for help, but she is completely alone, and nobody hears her cries in the dark building. Meanwhile, the narrative shifts to a small town where we meet Naeem and Ryan, who just found a snake in the middle of a field. Ryan finds it hilarious, but Naeem, who is much more reserved, feels terrified. They both step inside an abandoned factory, throwing debris and whatever else they find to joke around. Ryan teases Naeem by pretending there is a spider on him, leading to a playful wrestling match. Ryan seizes the moment to kiss him, and Naeem kisses back, though seconds later he insists that they should leave. On the walk back, they discuss what happened. Naeem is surprised by Ryan's interest, especially since Ryan completely ignores him at school. Ryan denies it, yet he remains unwilling to show his true self in front of others. And there is a clear reason for that. Before parting ways, Ryan asks Naeem not to tell anyone about what happened. Naeem agrees, and they each head off in their own direction. In town, most of the residents regularly attend the local Christian church, and both boys arrive there alongside their respective parents. As the pastor preaches, the congregation sings with deep devotion, except for Naeem and Ryan, who merely share a meaningful look across the room. When the service ends, Naeem chats for a moment with his mother, Arlene. She has no idea that her son is attracted to guys, so she warmly encourages him to meet a nice girl. Right then, Pastor Roth approaches them with his son, Hunter, and the two boys exchange a polite greeting. The following day, Naeem and Ryan continue meeting in secret. Naeem reveals that he only moved to this town because his mother wanted a fresh start for religious reasons, even though he has never been particularly faithful himself. He clearly states how much he dislikes the town. Ryan asks him if he truly dislikes everything about the place, to which Naeem playfully replies that he does not, right before leaning in to kiss him. Over the next few days, Naeem starts feeling a bit better about living in town. He keeps attending church, where his mother shares her personal story about finding her faith. Meanwhile, at school, Naeem continues adjusting to his new environment, though Hunter keeps picking on him for reasons Naeem cannot quite figure out. One afternoon, Naeem drops by Ryan's house unannounced and spots him in the backyard. But Ryan is not alone. He is with Hunter, taking turns throwing rocks at each other. With every throw, the distance between them shrinks until they end up standing face to face and kissing. Devastated by what he just witnessed, Naeem turns around and runs off in silence, stopping only when exhaustion and shortness of breath force him to pull over. Back home, Naeem tries to take his mind off things, but his deep disappointment and rising resentment drive him to take matter into his own hands. That evening, he walks over to Hunter's house. Hunter's mother and his father, the pastor, welcome him at the door. Naeem tells them he needs to share something crucial, but first asks them to promise never to reveal who told them. He then discloses everything he saw, exposing that Hunter and Ryan have been together and are involved in a secret romance. Right after, Hunter's parents confront him immediately and scold him harshly upon discovering his sexuality, whereas Ryan's parents choose to completely give him the silent treatment once they find out. Given how deeply religious the town is, the community decides to bring in a man who claims he can end the situation through a specialized ritual. Ryan is noticeably nervous, but Hunter tries to reassure him, claiming it is just another show their parents put on for gullible believers. This time, however, he is dead wrong. A crowd of residents gathers to watch the ritual, including Naeem. Both boys are placed directly in front of the healer, surrounded by judgment-filled stares. The man whispers an incantation, holds up a wooden cross, and kisses it, but neither boy feels any different. Sensing this, the healer sharply shifts his tone and demands that their desire be completely erased. He then strikes a lighter, leaving both teenagers hypnotized by the flickering flame as he prays for the sacred fire to purify what he considers tainted. Suddenly, the boys begin to violently convulse and collapse to the ground. Their frantic parents rush in to hold them down, but the healer relentlessly pushes forward with the ritual, leaving Naeem entirely horrified by the terrifying scene unfolding right before his eyes. On the way back home, Naeem walks beside his mother in heavy silence. Tears stream down his face as he is overcome by by an overwhelming sense of guilt. Over the next few days at school, Ryan faces relentless harassment from his classmates because of his sexuality, but unlike before, he no longer bothers to stand up for himself. Later, Naeem tries to approach Ryan to make sure he is okay, though it is painfully obvious that he is not. Ryan has no idea that Naeem was the one who exposed his secret, so he actually worries about Naeem's well-being, even as he panics about anyone catching them together. He makes a single plea. He asks Naeem to back off, determined to protect him from suffering the same cruel fate. Unable to stay away, Naeem decides to visit Ryan at his home anyway. Upon reaching the backyard, he spots Ryan pleading with an unseen presence to keep quiet so his parents do not catch them. Stepping a bit closer, Naeem realizes with a chill that Ryan is talking completely to himself, leaving the yard as though someone were walking right beside him. Intrigued, Naeem quietly tails him all the way to a shopping mall, where Ryan walks down a long corridor and steps inside a photo booth. As Ryan continues chatting away inside, the machine suddenly activates, and the newly printed photos start sliding out of the dispenser slot. Naeem cautiously steps closer and discovers to his utter shock that he was not imagining things. In the freshly printed photos, Ryan appears completely alone, posing as though an invisible presence were wrapping its arms around him. Fearing the absolute worst, Naeem yanks open the booth curtain and finds him cornered against the wall with distinct red marks on his neck, as if an unseen force were strangling him. Naeem tries to intervene to pull him free, but an invisible impact throws him several feet back. Freed from the mysterious grip, Ryan flees the mall with bleeding wounds visible across his back. Naeem pursues him down the hall, but Ryan tearfully begs him to leave him alone and stay away from his home. When pressed for an explanation, Ryan simply screams in frustration that Naeem is entirely to blame for everything and demands that he back off for good. Later, while Hunter is working his shift at a local gas station, Naeem drops by, needing to talk. He shares the limited information he has gathered. They were not the healer's only victims, as the man performed the exact same ritual on other boys in town, seemingly with success, since several of them now have wives and children. Hunter, then disturbing, confides that Ryan visits him every night right before closing to torment him by throwing rocks from the shadows, though nobody in town believes a word he says. That night, Naeem heads back to the gas station just as Hunter is preparing to close up, slipping inside to hide without being noticed. Hunter locks the entrance door and steps outside to carry out the trash. From inside the shop, Naeem keeps a close eye on him through the glass until something lingering in the darkness catches Hunter's attention. Out of nowhere, a rock comes flying toward him. Hunter scoops it up and tosses it back, repeating the exact same game Naeem had witnessed between him and Ryan days earlier in the backyard. In that moment, Naeem realizes instantly who is standing out there. Before Hunter can even react, that terrifying invisible entity strikes him. Naeem screams and frantically tries to burst through the exit, but the locked door refuses to budge. Hunter struggles for air as an unseen force lifts him high off his feet. Moments later, he slams down and gets dragged into the pitch-black night. By the time Naeem manages to unlock the door and sprint outside, Hunter is completely gone, leaving behind only fading screams that vanish into the dark forever. Immediately after, Naeem rushes to the police station and recounts every detail of what he just witnessed, but nobody believes his story. Officers dismiss him, promising they are looking into it. Desperate to be taken seriously, Naeem decides to lay out the whole truth, exposing everything he had previously kept hidden. He openly confesses his true feelings for Ryan and reveals the secret relationship they shared. The officer on duty tries to calm him down, promising to investigate the healer who performed the ritual. Naeem urges her to start by questioning Hunter's father, as the pastor who leads the church surely knows where to track the man down. Shortly after, his mother arrives at the station, where the officer carefully explains everything that just occurred. On the way back home, Naeem and his mother remain in a tense silence the entire ride. Upon pulling up to the house, he immediately notices that something is horribly wrong. Two unfamiliar men are waiting for them outside. Arlene finally admits how terrified she is, stating that there will always be people eager to harm boys like him, confirming that she already knows about his orientation. On top of that, she tearfully reveals that she has become the main suspect in the police investigation regarding Hunter's disappearance. Arlene insists she refuses to risk losing her own son too, and at that very moment, Naeem spots the healer stepping out of their home. Naeem tries to fight back with everything he has, wrestling frantically and begging his mother for help, but none of his pleas work. They drag him by force inside the house, and just like Hunter and Ryan before him, he falls into a heavy trance the moment the healer strikes the lighter. The exact same incantations echo through the room until the ceremony comes to an end. A short while later, the community gathers for Hunter's funeral. Naeem attends the service alongside his mother, who tries to act affectionate and attentive toward him by offering him something to eat, though he remains completely numb, detached, and consumed by sorrow. Stepping outside to get a breath of fresh air, Naeem looks up and catches sight of Ryan standing in the distance. Having spent days desperately searching for him, Naeem walks up immediately and reveals that he was subjected to the ritual as well. Ryan coldly demands that he leave, but Naeem refuses to walk away. Suddenly, Ryan steps close and kisses him out of nowhere. Seconds later, however, he begins strangling him with unnatural strength, shoving him violently into a wooden fence until it collapses. Naeem manages to break free and sprints away to get help. The funeral guests stare in utter confusion, completely unable to grasp what is happening, until Naeem finally realizes the terrifying truth. The real Ryan is actually right there, standing among the crowd at the funeral service. Right after, Naeem flees the scene, but the entity posing as Ryan realizes he has figured out the truth and begins chasing him relentlessly. At that exact moment, Hunter's sister, Izzy, appears, immediately sizing up the situation and telling them to follow her. The three of them retreat into her bedroom, where Izzy discloses a dark secret from years ago at summer camp. Two girls had gone to the exact same healer to undergo the cleansing ritual, and shortly after, one of them was found dead inside a swimming pool. The lifeguard on duty maintained back then that it was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Back then, Izzy assumed it was nothing more than a ridiculous ghost story. However, after the ritual took place, her brother tried to warn her about the disturbing things he was seeing, and she chose to dismiss him. Deeply regretful, she tries to make amends by revealing that the other girl from camp is named Jessica. She explains that Jessica stays cooped up in a hospital day and night, since that evil presence only manifests when you are entirely alone. With the hospital an hour away, Naeem and Ryan decide to head there immediately, knowing that discovering what is hunting them might be their only shot at staying alive. They board a bus packed with passengers and, upon arriving at the facility, quickly locate Jessica, who sits alone repeatedly snapping an elastic band against her wrist to hurt herself. They walk straight over to demand what that creature really is. Jessica explains that the entity always takes on the face of someone you are attracted to. It does not matter who it is, your best friend, a movie star, or even a teacher you once had a crush on. The creature knows your desires and uses that familiar appearance to creep up on you. When they ask the most crucial question, how to stop it, Jessica offers a devastating response. There is no way to defeat it. Their only option is to stay far away from each other and never be alone, right as the police step in to drag her away. Shortly after, they wait for the bus back, but make a critical mistake. They let every other passenger board ahead of them. Naeem gets distracted for just a split second and spots it lurking deep in the shadows, watching him from afar. Before he can react, the doors slide shut and the bus starts pulling away without him. Ryan frantically demands the driver open up immediately. Seeing the raw panic written across Naeem's face, he instantly realizes what is happening. Outside, the entity inches slowly toward its target, closing the gap with every second. Naeem plunges into total hysteria until the doors finally pop open again, allowing him to scramble inside. Surrounded by a crowd of commuters, he is temporarily safe. The two boys take seats in the back. Naeem confides in Ryan that he is seriously thinking about leaving town, reasoning that Jessica might be right. Staying together could only make the entity stronger, but Ryan begs him not to leave, blaming himself entirely for everything that has transpired. Ryan finally musters the courage to confess his true feelings while staring right into his eyes, and they share a passionate kiss as the bus drives on. The next day, they go to school as usual and pass each other in the hallways. Naeem spots Ryan walking into a classroom alone and prepares to follow, but a rushed student distracts him. It then hits him that the room ought to be empty and that the person who went inside might not actually be Ryan. He decides to act normal just to be safe, right until a sudden scream echoes down the hall. In that moment, he sees Ryan stumble out of the classroom severely injured and terrified, his neck completely covered in blood. Other students gather around in shock, having no idea what just happened. happened. Only Naeem and Ryan know the horrifying truth. This time, the entity's attack was far more aggressive. Later, they head to church as usual, where they see Hunter's father still completely devastated by the loss of his son. The pastor stubbornly refuses to go back home, despite his wife pleading with him in front of the entire congregation. Although he was the one who started this nightmare by commissioning the ritual, the sheer anguish has left him consumed by remorse. As they leave the church, Naeem reconsiders taking a bus to put distance between himself and Ryan forever. He asks Ryan not to follow him, having finally come to accept that they cannot be together. But Ryan refuses to go along with it. He walks back over to Naeem and explains that even if Naeem leaves, he might eventually fall for someone else, and the creature would simply take on that new face, and then another after that. If he has to live with this terror, he would rather it keep Naeem's face, because he truly loves him. Determined to find a way out, they turn to Izzy to track down the healer once more and demand he reverse the ritual. Eager to help, she successfully locates the man using her father's contacts, and that very night, she guides the two boys to a remote spot where the meeting is set to take place. They arrive at the remote location, but the healer is nowhere to be found. Tension rises until Izzy reveals her true intentions. She tells them her father left the day before, assuring her prior to leaving that she was not to blame for Hunter's fate, since everything happened after Naeem exposed the secret. Ryan is left crushed and heartbroken upon learning who was responsible. Naeem tries to explain himself, but runs out of time. Suddenly, several boys emerge, seemingly gathered by Izzy. Some look furious, while others just seem confused about what they are. Naeem realizes they are there to confront them. Outnumbered, Ryan is tackled by one boy, while the others swarm Naeem, who takes several hits without being able to defend himself. Ryan manages to knock his attacker down and sprints to Izzy's car. He starts it up and speeds forward, forcing the crowd to scatter. He brakes just long enough for Naeem to jump in before hitting the gas again. The drive back is filled with heavy silence. Naeem looks at Ryan, hoping for any sign of forgiveness, but Ryan remains tight-lipped and cold. Pulling up to the house, Naeem tries to apologize and explain his actions, but Ryan finally snaps. He orders him out of the car and, without even glancing his way, delivers a final warning. If he ever sees anything that looks like him again, do not approach, because it will not be him, making it clear he never wants to see him again. Days pass, but relentless nightmares keep causing Naeem to wake up with a start in the middle of the night. Unable to handle being alone any longer, he grabs his sheets and retreats into his mother's bedroom to sleep beside her. At dawn, he decides to tell her everything, the constant danger he faces when left alone, and how nobody else can see the entity. But Arlene cuts him off, exhausted and angry, accusing him of making it all up. Refusing to believe a word, she orders him to take his things back to his room. She also mentions she will be home late and that he will need to fix his own dinner, leaving him speechlessly stunned. He goes to school as usual, and on his way back, he spots Ryan. Knowing it is not really him, he walks away in total silence. Later at home, a noise draws his attention, and he spots the entity outside, staring right at him. He tries calling his mother, but the call goes straight to voicemail. He is completely alone, and the creature knows it. Then it appears at the back door, pretending to be Ryan and demanding that Naeem open up. He refuses, remembering that making them fear each other was the ritual's exact purpose. Naeem deeply regrets ever revealing the truth, realizing he only did it out of fear of losing Ryan. After trading a few words, Naeem lowers his guard for a brief moment and chooses to believe that the person behind the door is the real Ryan, imagining that the mesh screen dividing them is gone and that they can finally touch. It is a grave mistake. The entity follows through on its true intention, bursting through the mesh screen and grabbing him tightly by the hair. Naeem bolts and tries desperately to break free, but the creature catches up to him in seconds. Though he fights back with everything he has, he quickly realizes the monster is infinitely stronger and feels no pain, no matter how hard he hits it. Just as all hope seems lost, Naeem spots a lighter within arm's reach. He flicks it on, and the moment the flame touches the entity, it lets go and collapses to the floor, writhing in agony. Naeem finally discovers its weakness, fire. Right after, Naeem flees the house and sprints down the dark streets until he finds an open shop. He rushes inside in a total panic while the cashier and customers stare in confusion. The cashier coldly warns him that they close in 10 minutes, but he barely registers her words, knowing the entity is waiting right outside. Distraught, Naeem asks if anyone can see it, but everyone assures him the street is empty. When the cashier announces they are officially closing, he begs her to stay, needing any form of company. He looks at the remaining shoppers, pleading for just one person to stay by his side, but as expected, they write him off as out of his mind. Shortly after, the doors lock, leaving Naeem completely alone once again. Not knowing where to go, he finds a bicycle and rides off at top speed. He does not make it very far before losing control and crashing to the ground. The entity suddenly appears. For a split second, Naeem thinks it is Ryan, but he quickly realizes it is not. The cursed entity grabs a massive rock and hurls it at him before he escapes toward the only place he can think of, the old mill he had visited a while back, where everything started with the real Ryan. He tries to take shelter inside, but the creature tracks him down again. It overpowers him with brutal force, and Naeem barely manages to endure it. Once again, the lighter is his only option, but he knows it can work. He uses it to free himself and succeeds, but he does not stop there. He decides to start a fire, trapping the entity inside. Just as he is about to leave, he hears it calling out to him through a grate. The creature tries to convince him that this is what he wants, and that, deep down, it is for the best for both of them. It is its final attempt to manipulate his feelings, but this time, Naeem does not fall for it. He slams the grate shut and walks away as the entity's screams fade away amid the blaze. Shortly after, day breaks. Naeem desperately tries calling Ryan, but the call goes straight to voicemail. From that moment on, he begins to fear that the person who died in the blaze was actually the real Ryan, meaning he ended the life of the person he loves, so he decides to call the fire department immediately. When the firefighters arrive at the scene, his mother, Arlene, shows up as well. Upon learning what happened, she tries to calm her son down, but Naeem insists on revealing all the nightmare he has endured since she handed him over to the healer. That is when Arlene finally confesses the cold truth. She cannot help him because the ritual is completely irreversible. She knew the terrible consequences from the start and still agreed to it, convinced it was the only way to protect him, though she now realizes her tragic mistake. Yet since there is no undoing it, she chooses to act as if nothing happened. Naeem remains completely terrified by the possibility that he killed Ryan, deeply devastated by the overwhelming disappointment he feels toward his mother. Right after, he decides to do what he had contemplated from the start: leave everything behind. The moment he gets the chance, he takes a car and abandons his mother and that town forever. When he arrives at the bus stop, he spots him. Ryan is standing right there with a backpack slung over his shoulder, completely ready to leave as well. Naeem approaches cautiously to make sure it is truly him. Once he verifies it is the real Ryan, they both board the bus without looking back. Naeem takes a seat by the window, and they share earphones to listen to music together. As the bus begins to pull away and leave the town behind, Naeem gazes out the window and sees it. The entity stands motionless in the middle of nowhere, staring intensely at him from afar. But this time, the real Ryan is sitting right beside him.